Welcome to Oyate Today. Oyate in Lakota means people. Brought to you by Native Sun News Today. Hi, welcome to Oyate Today. I am your host, Richie Richards. Oyate Today is produced by Tim and Jackie Gallego. Tim is an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux tribe. Our guests tonight are Ms. Patricia Roth. Is it Roth or Roth?
Roth.
Roth of the Siston Wahpeton Oyate Behavioral Health. And we also have Dee Beau, a local consultant and president of the board of the Great Plains
American Indian Credentialing Board.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for being here as well.
Thank you, Richie,
This
for
is
having
going
us.
to be a good discussion, and I'm very proud to have you on our show. You guys are doing some awesome work for our area and our region, so thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Let's just start off by telling us a little bit about yourselves. And Patricia, if you can go first and kind of give us some background on yourself, please.
Okay, so a little bit of background about me. I'm a licensed addictions counselor. It's LAC. I'm licensed with South Dakota. I've been in the addiction field for over 7 years. I started my education journey when I was 30 years old. Before that, I was working in a factory, and I think I had been in my own recovery at that time. I think it was like 6 years, 7 years, something like that, when I got the calling to go into counseling, and signed up for school, went to school, and got my bachelor's and a CAC, and then my master's for LAC, and I love the field.
And so what do you do specifically for the Siston Wahpeton Oyate Behavioral Health Program?
At the Behavioral Health Program, I'm the project coordinator for the Domestic Violence Prevention Initiative. I do community outreach and domestic violence prevention awareness. And then I also am the clinical supervisor for the Mayutecha Day Treatment, their staff. And so our staff is currently credentialed under the Great Plains American Indian Credentialing Board, and I'm supervising their hours.
Awesome.
I think there's about 3 or 4 of us in there, or
Thank
of
you.
them.
Thank you so much. And Dee, could you tell us a little bit about yourself as well, please?
Sure. I'm from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. I am a graduate from University of South Dakota with my master's in administration. I have been in the addictions field for over 20 years. I've been in recovery 31 years. And I like what Patricia said about it being a calling. I was a certified counselor with the state of South Dakota as level 2. And for health reasons, I lost my certification, but I came back into the field as administration and as just a recovery support person. I've been with the credentialing board as president. I started off as a member, then became president-elect with the Great Plains American Indian Credentialing Board, and I've been on the board for about 4 years.
Cool, awesome. Thanks for being here, and congratulations to both of you for your recovery.
Thank you.
That's awesome. When was this board established then? We're talking about this board that's been around for how long then?
Well, there's history with this board. It was established back in the 80s, and there was a variety of counselors, professionals in our Great Plains region that were supporting the board. And through the course of a variety of events, it closed, and then we revived the board in around about 2013. It was revived. We've been moving to become more recognizable in the addiction field as a qualified, certified board.
Sure.
That we can work with our tribal members.
Sure, and what would be the purpose of this board then?
To bring Native American counselors into the addiction field and to help them become professionals as either certified counselors or to be, because we have other credentials with the board, we're going to be adding a peer recovery specialist, we're going to be adding a prevention specialist, so they can come into the field and serve in any of those capacities.
What would be a peer recovery specialist then?
A peer recovery specialist is somebody that doesn't have the clinical background in the addictions field, but they have lived experience. And they come up alongside somebody in recovery and they provide recovery support for them.
Almost like a sponsor then?
Almost like a sponsor.
Kind of, right? Awesome, that's awesome. Patricia, why is there a need for certified and or licensed providers or counselors then? Why do we have that need?
There's a need because you have to do paperwork first, and the paperwork requires evaluations. alcohol and drug evaluations. That paperwork needs to be done by somebody that is certified as addictions counselor or not. You could be a trainee status, working on your hours, but you've got to have that credentialing to do the paperwork, the evaluations, the recommendations, the referrals, the treatment planning, the counseling, things like that. So that's where you need the certification, the licensure, and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this program is called the American Indian Credentialing Board. So is this only for Native Americans then, or tribal members then?
Currently it is. We're set up to serve our tribal communities in the Great Plains region. We have 17 tribes that we work with in the Great Plains region, and currently that was the goal of the board, was to bring more of our Native American population into the field of addictions to help support their communities.
So is there, and Patricia, is there like a shortage then of these Native American counselors, or I mean, how much of a need are we talking about
Yeah,
here?
there's a need. Right now, we were just talking about the average CAC, which is the Certified Addiction Counselor, or a LAC, Licensed Addiction Counselor, is 50 years and older, been in the field for 20 plus years, 30 years, and so they could be getting ready to retire, and plus they are kind of would be stuck in what they've learned in their training. So bringing in new counselors into the field now with new training would be a very amazing resource for our community. What's the latest evidence-based practices that you're bringing in, and then that training, so that you're not stuck in what you've been trained in 1970. You could be training what are they doing right now in 2000, in this time, what's working, what isn't working, and so yeah, they're not coming into the field, and so that's what we need. There's a lot of positions that are open in our 17 tribal programs. There's positions that have been vacant for months and months, and so it was like a couple months ago we had our board meeting, and we're like, well, let's focus on recruitment. Let's get some counselors in here. Let's help them get in, and let's get the word out that we do have a board, Great Plains American Indian Credentialing Board. You could go through us. We're here. We've been here.
Sure. And Dee, you've been in the program for several years. Why do you think, or why do you feel, or why isn't people coming into, or why aren't people coming into this field?
One of the struggles that we have is getting our trainees to pass the ICNRC exam. It's a very comprehensive exam. It's a 150 multiple choice questions, and a lot of our trainees come into the exam and they don't pass. So we are not getting them to that point. So we are trying to step up our game and look at partnering with tribal colleges and universities to help us develop a prep exam process, so our trainees can be better prepared to take that exam and pass. But which is why we also included the peer recovery credential for those that aren't well versed in the clinical piece of counseling. They can come in and be a peer recovery specialist and doing exactly what they're doing now without the counseling piece of it.
And so, Patricia, are there needs that are specific to Native American communities when it comes to behavioral health and addiction recovery then? Are there like that's culturally specific then? And what would those be? I can kind of guess, but I just wanted to have you explain that for me and our audience.
Yeah, I think the cultural part is probably a big impact on addiction, would be the historical trauma that our people Native Americans have been coping with. And so when they come to Native American treatment facilities, we do practice a lot of the cultural based. And we do incorporate that too alongside with the AA way, the 12-step way. They do intertwine. If you look back, there are intertwined practices from step 1, step 2, step 3, admitting powerlessness, finding a higher power, turning your will over. Those are things that you do. you reach out to your higher power, you humble yourself, and then you put your faith in what the divine has. So that's a lot of what the culture part is, and that's what we kind of keep it down to basics, keep it simple, keep it down to going back to having that spirituality.
Sure. We're going to take a quick break, but I want to learn more about this. This is very interesting. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Closed captioning for Oyate today is brought to you by Black Hills Energy.
Native Sun News has been voted the best weekly newspaper in its class for 2015 by the South Dakota and North Dakota Newspaper Associations. You can find a copy of the Native Sun News at many businesses and vending machines in Rapid City and the surrounding area, and on all 9 reservations. We publish every Wednesday, so advertisers and subscribers can reach our diverse readership by calling 605-721-1266. The Native Sun News covers the other side of the story.
You can't predict life's ups and downs. You just give it all you've got to stay on top. But it's easier with a partner like Security First Bank. Since 1898, we've been riding with you through the country's biggest ups and downs. And this is where we'll stay. Security First Bank, a relationship you can count on. Member FDIC.
Want some more?
What's he doing?
But he can't.
Look at him. It's just not done.
Please, sir, I want some more.
More? More?
More? Please, sir.
He has asked for more!
Thank you.
What?
Well, he did say please. Sir.
Yes, he did. And thank you.
Yeah, and thank you.
He's a wonderful boy. A delightful boy.
Please, and thank you. Pass it on.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. Once again, our guests tonight is Patricia Roth and Beau, and thank you so much for being here. This has been a really good conversation. I've been very interested in your work, and thank you for the work you're doing in your communities. Dee, we talked a little bit about your board, or having a board for this program in the previous segment, but could you talk to me a little bit about your board, who's on it, and the functions of that board, please?
The Great Plains Credentialing Board was established as a charter under the Behavioral Health Directors Association. And the Behavioral Health Directors Association represent the 17 tribes across the Great Plains region. Our administrators are the Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board. So a lot of our hard copy files, a lot of the administrative duties are done through the health board. We have 10 members actively serving on the board. We have room for one more member. And our members represent from the 17 area tribes. So we have a variety of members that come on board to bring their professional experience and personal expertise onto the board. We have been established primarily, again, to establish criteria, eligibility requirements, certification standards that are comparable to the state level. So our counselors are being trained and being certified with the exact same credentials as the state of South Dakota would require, or North Dakota, or those kinds of things. We have responsibility to the ethics portion of it, so we have a code of ethics that our counselors sign and are responsible for. Currently we have 17 trainees on our board, and we have 3 certified counselors, 2 LACs, licensed addiction counselors, and 1 certified addictions counselor that we're currently working with. So as Patricia mentioned, 3 of those trainees come from the Sisseton-Wapton treatment program.
Sure.
So our board members, so we have Ed Parcells, he's been in the addictions field for a number of years. Marcita Eaglebear, they both work down at Rosebud Alcohol Treatment Program. We have Marilyn Spoon, who's out at Nebraska, and Marcy Sprague, she's here in Rapid City with Native Healing.
Sure. Who would you be looking for? What would be an ideal candidate to come on board as a board member then? Who are we kind of?
Well, one, we need somebody that's familiar with the certification requirements. Two, that they're professionals in the field or they have experience in the addictions field. We have 51% of our board members have to be certified or credentialed. And the remaining can be, like myself, I'm not currently certified, but I have the experience in the addiction field to be on the board. So they can be, have that experience and still be a candidate for the board. We have our application processes through the Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board. So if a person went out to that website, they would see the application and the board application, and they would also see the certification applications there for them.
Sure. And so you mentioned 17 tribes, but you talked about this area being the Great Plains. And when I think about Great Plains, I'm thinking buffalo and prairie lands and grass. But what states specifically are we talking about in this program?
North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska. We have one tribe in Iowa that we serve, Sac and Fox tribe. And then Nebraska, and the bulk of the tribes are here in South Dakota. We have 9 tribes here in South Dakota.
Okay. And then Patricia, let's talk a little bit more about recruitment and retention then. Where's most of the stress placed on currently then? Is it recruitment, is it retention, and what's the good and bad with this?
I think one thing that I'm seeing, that I've seen, is that counselors, that they want to come into the field and they either take like social work in their education, they're taking social work or counseling, and then they're graduating with the bachelor's degree. However, when they go to apply for to become a certified counselor, they find out, oh, you need these 6 classes. There's 6 specific classes that you need to become an alcohol and drug counselor. And so, you need this amount of time. You need 2,000 hours, or you need 4,000 hours with a bachelor's degree and 2,000 hours with a master's degree. And so then you have to go back to the drawing board, and then you have to go back to school and take these 6 classes, or with the master's, there's more classes. I think there's a couple more classes, not that much more, maybe 2 or 3 classes if I remember correctly. Must have been like 5.
Sure.
But that's something that's a burden on them. So then they have to go back. They have all these classes. They have the degree, but they're specific classes. And so that's something that at the beginning of recruitment, you're coming into addiction studies, then you should know what classes that you're going to need and follow those classes when you're picking out your college classes. As elective, or you can take a psychology class and pick these intro into alcohol, intro into drug addiction, intro into group counseling. There's specific classes that you're going to need. And so that's something that's very important to know right off the bat if you're going into specifically the alcohol and drug field.
And so what are some of the challenges with retention of, you get these counselors, they come in, they're licensed, they're certified, they're in the field, they get their foot in the door, they're working these positions. What are some of the challenges of retaining them and that retention side of it?
I would say competitive salaries. We get our counselors that are trained up in our programs and then wooed away. So if we had, I guess, better salaries would be better. Our locations are kind of remote.
Is it that people don't want to live on the reservations and do the work then?
That's part of it.
Yeah,
part of it.
I travel 54 miles one way to work.
And back 100 miles a day?
Yeah.
Wow, that's some dedication. Good job. Dee, is your program, are you guys working with colleges and universities or higher learning centers or to kind of partner up with them and bring them in and help them get credentialed?
Not directly, but that's a goal of ours, is to partner with local tribal colleges and universities to try to get us to help our potential counselors navigate through the process. So like what she's sharing about being able to do the degree planning, to be able to sit down and really look at what their classes are going to be required for them if this is a field they want to get into. Because we do see a lot of social workers gravitate into the alcohol and drug field.
Are there any programs, say in the state of South Dakota, that are kind of working towards that or already attained that status, or that would kind of be a shining example of what a college or a university should be doing then? Or
Well, I think the program that has a strong longevity is the
System Wapton College. There are already classes that they offer that are already pre-approved by the state. And that was pretty exciting for me to see. A tribal college had all these pre-approved classes. I was like, yay, this is pretty exciting.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And we'll come back. I want to talk a little bit more about the program up there in on your guys' tribe. So we'll be back after a short break.
You maybe know that earning a GED can increase your lifetime earnings, can be a first step into a university or technical institute. But maybe you don't know how easy preparing for the GED test is anywhere in the Black Hills. Classes are free, a service of the Career Learning Center of the Black Hills and Black Hills Special Services Cooperative. Go online to learn more or call. Earning a GED can change your life.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they gonna know?
Talk. They hear you.
Sometimes one moment changes everything. One song, one game, one mission. Support Make-A-Wish and help grant more life-changing wishes at wish.org.
Hi, welcome back to Oyate Today. Once again, our guests tonight have been Patricia Roth and Beau. Thank you both for being here. It's been a good discussion and a very needed discussion in our community, so I really appreciate you being here. Just before the break, we were talking about an ideal program in the state of South Dakota, and you had mentioned the program that you're involved with on your tribe. Could you talk to us a little bit about that, give us the name and some information about that program, and why is this kind of a shining example of where other tribes and other areas can be?
Yeah, I got my certification, I did my trainee status, my CAC, well, I was level 1 for 1 year, CAC, Certified Addiction Counselor, and my licensed addiction counselor, all at Dakota Pride Center. It's on the System Wapton Oyate Reservation. And this year, Dakota Pride Center, I get emotional when I think about it.
Oh, it's awesome.
They're celebrating 40 years.
Hey, that's really good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, 40 years in service. They are level 3.7, medically monitored inpatient treatment program. I get too emotional when I think about them.
You're good. Don't worry about it. Let's let you recover for a second. But Dee, tell me a little bit more about your consultations then that you're doing here locally and in the area. I understand you're working with non-natives,
right?
Specifically.
So one of the other hats that I wear is as part of my independent consulting. I have a business, Swiftbird Consulting, and I contract with the state of South Dakota Behavioral Health Department specifically to provide cultural awareness trainings to their professionals, their non-native professionals in the field, working with our Native American client population. So we go in and provide a 3-day training. Me and my 2 other trainers, Ed Parcells and Donovan Sprague, we go in and provide 3-day training and just do a very comprehensive training material that was developed at USD actually. And we work with them on giving them the history, the legislative policies, the impact of those policies, the impactful eras, the boarding school, the relocation, and all those kinds of things. We talk about the substance abuse, the history of substance abuse among our Native population, grief, historical trauma, and all those things. And then we come back to taking all of that and plugging it into counseling strategies. So they're able to utilize what information they receive and incorporate that into their counseling as they're working with our Native American clientele.
How can somebody interested in coming to one of these trainings or one of these events, I mean, is there a contact that we can?
We work closely with Tiffany Wolfgang at the State Behavioral Health Department. She's the director up there.
Okay.
Or I can be contacted through Swiftbird Consulting, swiftbirdadultconsulting@gmail.com.
Awesome, thank you so much. Now, Patricia, your passion for the work you're doing has come across, and that's awesome. That really means you have a great job, and you're really, passionate about your work. So I appreciate that a lot. I just want you to kind of give me an example of why your program there is so beneficial to not only your tribe, but I guess other people from other tribes can come to there and get some help if needed as well.
Yeah, we do have clients come from the Great Plains Great Plains area. We service from Rapid City to Rosebud to 3 affiliates in North Dakota to Nebraska. We have clients that come through that program so much, and I just remember, I just carry so much of the information that I've learned from that program, the love, and basically just want to help our people go into recovery. Mm-hmm. And I know the quality of life that you'll have when you go into recovery. Mm-hmm. And so I reverence that. Mm-hmm. And so I have a great respect and reverence for Dakota Pride Center and everything that they've done.
Sure.
It's amazing.
Is there a website or a social media page or somewhere that people can find more information then?
For Dakota Pride Center.
Or can we just call the tribe and find out a little bit more information?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have a website.
If you Google Dakota Pride, it'll come
Something
up.
will come up.
Yeah.
Lastly, I just wanted to talk a little bit more. Well, first of all, how can we find out more information? Say I wanted to be on the board, or I wanted to find out more about these programs. Where can I go for that, Dee?
Currently, our administrator website is at the Great Plains Tribal Children's Health Board. So if you go to gptchb.org, you can access the behavioral health department, and then they'll have all the information.
And
to contact us.
That's awesome. Patricia, I want to thank you so much for your work and the passion that you have for your people, and it's awesome. So thank you so much, Dee. And thank you for the work you're doing. Both of you are some really great people in our community, so I want to thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
Sadly, Rapid City lost a very, very strong, just a great person in our community recently in the loss of the Prairie Edge owner, Ray Hillenbrand. And I just wanted to acknowledge him and thank him for being a fan of our show. I want to thank our producers. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Prairie Edge for hosting our show tonight. And I want to thank you for making Oyate Today a part of your night.
You've been watching Oyate Today, brought to you by Native Sun News Today.